Hello there, and welcome to Discourse on Global Television, the program that helps you explore big issues shaping Africa and the world at large. Today, we turn our attention to the recent happening in one of our neighboring countries, and that is Cameroon, where the recently concluded presidential elections has sparked a widespread debate, tension, and even protests. Now, at the heart of it all is Paul Biya, Cameroon's long-serving president, now 92 years old, and declared winner once again, extending his rule that began over 4 decades ago. But this victory has not come without controversy. The opposition has rejected the results, alleging fraud, irregularities, and intimidation. There has been protests of unrest in some regions and renewed conversations about the state of democracy in Africa, especially in countries where leadership longevity seems to overweigh leadership renewal. So, what does this election mean for the Cameroonian people and for Africa's democratic future? Are we witnessing a crisis of legitimacy or a test of stability? And what lessons can Nigeria and other African nations learn from the Cameroon's unfolding story? To join me, pack this conversation is a guest, and you get to see him after this break. Please stay with us. All right, if you are just tuning in, we're talking about the recent Cameroon elections, the aftermath, questions of age, power, and legitimacy. And joining me to unpack this conversation is a public affairs analyst, Adekunle George Taylor. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Okay.
Yes, good morning.
Oh, okay, I see you're calling from the UK. So you said there in the UK is?
Good afternoon. It's 12:05.
Of course, it is afternoon over here too. And let's go straight, let's dive straight into the conversation. Now let's start with this question. What is your assessment of the just concluded elections in Cameroon? Was the outcome surprising to you or not?
Well, I think looking at the Cameroon election, it has been the same as it used to be. And the sitting president, which is Paul Biya, has always been winning. And this is the 8th time of the election. So it is too obvious for us to know now that there might be some issues in the elections, because it's not possible for a man to be so popular to the extent that he's winning almost every elections. So, and popularity is changed with people's and the demand of the democracy. Look at Cameroon, for instance. You can understand that Cameroon is yet not well developed country in Africa. When you talk of developed country in Africa, Cameroon is not mentioned. That shows that the man might not be doing up to what is expected of him. And winning the election at the time, that shows that there must be issues. Or probably the election is not conducted very well, or something is happening in Cameroon.
Okay, so Paul Biya has been in power since 1982. That's over 4 decades. What does this longevity say about Cameroon's political system?
Well, I think the president has been, I would say the popularity now. I think he have known the way of winning election.
He
Either
has known the way
predict
of
or
winning election.
yeah, maybe he has known the calculation of how to win election in
Okay.
Cameroon. And I know that the man is age and looking at capacity, he has less capacity compared to when he was taking the government in 1982, like you said, November 6 precisely. So now that his age is getting old, his age is far away, he cannot even stand on his own. And if he want to contest as a president, to do what? Is it to you want to lead the country from the hospital or you want to lead the country from his bedroom? This is the question that we need to ask the president. And it is high time our brotherhood, the Cameroonians, should wake up. And the international body needs to advise the leaders in Cameroon to measure up with the developed world and change. Because now we have been there for over 4 decades. And Cameroon still remains one of the poorest countries in Africa. That should not deliver what people are expecting of you to do.
Okay. Do you think the result reflects the will of the people in any extent? Are you there? Are you there?
Are we together?
Yes, we are. I'm with you. I'm with you. We can hear you. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, like I said, that the president has been there over a 4 decades, and looking at the trajectory of development in Cameroon, we want to measure the lives of Rwanda that Kagame has been there for like 3 decades and is developing the country in the right channel. And when you measure the fast development economy in Africa, you measure Rwanda, and the president has been there for 3 decades. That the man is getting some things right. But in the case of Cameroon, they decide of according to what we read, he has spent over 1,000 days outside of the country. So how can you govern a people or the country that you cannot even know what their problem is? I think that's the reality we must begin to tell our African leaders that they need to help. This leadership is not a family heritage. It is for service, and it is to help the people to be able to make a meaningful development in their lives. While you are leading the country from the hospital, I wonder what kind of government you want to implement. Now you'll be signing money, signing check that you cannot even say this is where this is going. In that case, there will be corruption, and you yourself cannot even say this because you are part of the issue. Because the moment the lieutenants that are working with you know that you are weak, they take advantage of it. And I think the Cameroon state will really rise up and tell Pobia to help the country to move forward. The errors, we're in the 21st century now. I think the errors has passed, and they need to step down. It's for the young one to be able to come and develop the countries.
Okay. When we started, you made mention of something. You said Cameroon President Paul Biya has mastered the act of winning elections. Maybe has mastered the act of winning elections. Do you think is an issue of mastering the act of winning elections, or do we question the electoral process in the country?
The point is, there are always elections. And this man is always, the president, Pobia, is always acclaimed to win the elections. Now, and it's in all those elections, I think the violence, the social crisis now is starting yesterday. That shows that he has been mastering the art of winning the election, either by buying over the opposition leader to himself or stay to them with one position. Even the major opposition leader, Issa Tankicharuma, was part of this government for like 15 years, precisely. He has served under Pobia for close to 15 years, I think. So that's so that he has been buying the opposition leader for himself, and he has been manipulating them. But now the reality is the fact that Phobia is age. Last month, precisely, I think the doctor came up and said the president should not contest because of his age. So it is not possible to know him better than the people. His age, and there is less now that you can do. Why not hand over to a young person who can run the country effectively? And it is high time we call the Western power also, because these things has to do with the Western power also, because if nobody is backing him up, I believe that there will be revolutionary change in that country. That he has some international backup for him to be able to run the country for over 4 decades. And development is not.
Moving ahead, some people argue that Bia's long rule has actually brought stability, and others say it has stifled innovation. What would be your stand in all of this?
I think the innovation, I think the president is taking advantage of the social issue, the social crisis, insecurity, and the issue of Boko Haram in Cameroon, comparing with the Palestinian issue, and it's actually taking to sustain itself. It's changing. In the developed country, they are talking of 100 years plan. With Pobia how for Cameroon, can he present 20 years plan for Cameroon? You can only prepare a plan that you yourself be able to do. But as he is now, can he draw 10 years plan? So the reality we need to tell the president. It is high time the Central African leaders or the African leaders in general should advise the president Pierre to step down for the interest of the Cameroon development.
Okay.
I'm looking at.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Okay. Let's talk about the question of age, power, and also the question of leadership renewal. Now at 92, Paul Biya remains one of the world's oldest 7 heads of state. Do you think age has become a democratic concern in Africa?
Well, I think at 92, everybody knows a 92 years old man is a grandpa. And by now, Africa is 60 years. So it's staying more than expected. The strength has gone. The knowledge has gone. Even his generation has gone. 92, some people are fortunate to even live up to 70 years. Now he's 92, putting as the president to plan for the unborn children. What a plan is going to have? The 92-year-old man cannot see it and be advising the Gen Z of our generations. What advice? Does he even know what is called computer at this age, or does he know what is called iPad now?
Well, elders have said there's an adage that says what an elder can seek standing, a young child will not see even if he climbs Iroko, the tallest tree. So
the point is, we can, as a leader, we can have what is called advisory committee. But be an advisory committee to whoever that the Cameroonian wants as their leader. But for a 92-year-old man to sit as a president and dictating and planning for the unborn children, what kind of idea is going to bring anymore?
well, that is why some would argue that that's why he's not there alone. He has other cabinets, in his team, in his cabinet. He has members in his cabinet. So that would be the argument for some persons.
When you check his cabinet, all of them are age. All of them. Even the opposition leader is 76. He himself is age.
Wow.
And but besides that, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. He joined Paul Biya government. He spent over 60 years with Paul Biya. So what revolution is he coming up with? But the point is, the youth also has to rise up. And the international and African leader also need to sit up and advise the President Biya to step down for the interests of Africa and for the interests of the Cameroonians. Because things cannot continue to go that way. in a situation where the president is not available for over a year out of 5 years, what kind of leadership is going to provide? Can you take a report to 92-year-old man at the dead of the night by 12 a.m. that decision needs to be taken? These are fact and reality that President Bia needs to know. That age is not by himself. So you should come up with a plan of transferring power to a younger person who will be able to move the development of Cameroon to a better state, to a new state. So that Cameroon will not be a laughing stock in the Community of Nations.
Do you
want to develop what?
Yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead, please.
To develop more there, you hardly find something of such. The only place you will find that people above something is possibly China, possibly China, possibly Russia, or possibly America. But when you realize the economy they have, they've already have a template. Whoever that is sitting as the president is just there to observe. The system has automated to run on itself. But in the case of Cameroon, there is no template. Every decision must come from the president. Every appointment must come from the president. So is it 92-year-old man that will not be determined who's to be who? Does he have the strategy of diverse of Cameroon ethnics to be able to meet up what they want? So the fact is, he should just step down and let the young people to be able to lead the country for development.
Do you think it's the issue of young people? Do you think the young ones in Cameroon are actually ready to take over, this leadership? Because you just mentioned that his running mate was 72 years old. You can imagine having a 92-year and a 70. The one who wants to ask, where are the youth? So where are they possibly? Where are they? Why are they sitting in the back and having fathers, grandfathers like you call him, take over the leadership position? Don't you think it's a slack on the youth, that is causing all of this?
I think we should understand the fact that the youths are not the one that we say, okay, we want leadership. Leadership is taken. And that is why they ask the responsibility behold on African leaders and the world leader to advise President Paul Biya to transfer leadership to young people. So by the time you give opportunity, look at, for instance, what we have in Lagos State in Nigeria precisely. When the president now transfer leadership to Fashola, then to Ambode, you can see that the trajectory is they are getting younger. The government we are having in Lagos, they are getting younger by day. Fashola is more older than Ambode. Ambode is more older than Babaside. Now, Babaside might be older than the next governor. Looking at the view. So this is how we can begin to move and begin to see the development we are looking for. And the fact that the West power person their assistance will be needed. Because for a man that has been in the system for over a decade, he has mastered the game. So there is no how a youth will push such a man aside. So it is now beyond on the African leader to advise him to step aside or transfer leadership to a young person who can lead effectively.
Okay, so let us talk about stability and democracy. Now, the opposition has rejected the results, alleging fraud and intimidation. What does this tell you or tell us about the credibility of institutions in Cameroon?
I think every opposition are not always pleased with the outcome of any election.
Exactly.
But the fact it is not left for the international observer. Mm-hmm. Because according to what Maurice Kanto, which is the council chairman of the electoral body in Cameroon says, was that the election was peaceful. Indeed. And the opposition is just carrying foul because the expectation of the result was shocked to him.
Yeah.
So this is neither here nor there. Either the President Paul Biya has mastered the game of winning the election, is one side. While the opposition also have not mastered, that's another side. But it's not left for the international observer to tell us what has happened. Because Paul Biya cannot randomly put himself or install himself as the president. Some people must have voted for it. Either they are being thwarted, either they are being brought over. Then there must be vote for Paul Biya. Either the election is rigged. Some people actually temperate for the vote for Paul Biya. So it is not left for the international observer to tell us the position of the election. But according to the head of the Constitutional Council, said the election was peaceful. And for us outside is to listen to what the insiders are saying. So it is not left for the international, because they were there during the election to be able to tell us how the election went. But for us outside, it will be very wrong for us to take a position that, okay, since the opposition won the election. That is my thought. Thank you.
Do you think international observers have done enough, or do you think they even have the power, to do enough to actually enable transparency in African elections? Because we've seen them in Nigeria. They come, sometimes they give their own verdict that doesn't even correlate with the result at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, we don't see anything happening. So do you think they are limited in some way?
No, I think the reason where we introduce international observers to election is for objectivity, so that these persons that are giving their view are not responsible to any of the party involved in the election. So, and besides, we should also not forget the fact that this international observer will not be in every area where the election has taken place. So that also must be considered, because if they went to they would definitely went to the developed points where they can be able to observe the election, and that is the position they take. But what about the rural area where we have to travel by water to get that? So these are the also issue that we need to consider. But for me, international observer view is just very, very important. If the international observer say the election is the other side of rigging, then we believe the election is rigged. But no, we should not forget the fact that every country also have interests, especially when it comes to African election. That's why I said that the world power, also the Western power, need to also help us to bring a change to Cameroon, because the point is, Cameroon was colonized by France. So if Pobia is sitting there, that shows that it is placing some bodies at the international level. Because if they don't want him, it can be removed. So that is my thought, please.
Okay, so at what point does the quest for stability become an excuse for democratic stagnation?
Yeah, I think when the country, because the point is now, even Cameroon is not that stable, because they also have issue with Boko Haram, they have issue with Abozina that are calling for self-independence in that country. These are concerns, and this needs to be nailed at the board. But the president these are reasons to say the president is huge. How can a 92 lead people to the war to be able to safeguard the security of the country? And if there is no security, how can there be development? How can there be progress?
How does the Anglophone community, the Francophone divide, complicate? Let me take that again. How does Francophone divide complicate Cameroon's national unity and electoral legitimacy?
I think most of the Francophone countries are victims of this. Because when you consider the aspects of Côte d'Ivoire also, when Franco was there, he completed his 2 terms and he was asked to go. It took Nigerian military to be able to fish him out. When he refused to go, that he's going to contest for the 3rd time. But now we have Ouattara there as a president now. He has also won the 3rd time election in that country, while he was one that pushed Gbagbo out. Same thing happened in Gambia when Jammeh was there. Jammeh. Now Barrow was brought in. The same thing we complain of Jammeh is what the same thing Barrow also is doing. You can see that it is not about this. It is not always about faces. It is about that thing that is in us. We want to be in power at all costs and continue to stay there. Either we are doing the right thing or we are not doing the right thing. And this mindset needs to change.
Do you think Bia's continued rule is sustainable in the face of growing youth discontent? And what is the worst case scenario that would result from all of this discontent?
Can you say that?
I asked 2 questions. Okay, let me take the first one. What do you think is the worst case scenario that would come out of this discontent from the youth?
Well, I think it's just a matter of days. I think we remember Sonny Abacha that said any social violence that lasted more than 6 days, there must be hands of government in it. This opposition, this protest will definitely go, we sit down according to the report now, many people have been arrested. There are a number of deaths that has occurred. So once death is involved, many people will not want to come out. And once they don't come out, then that is the end of the protest. So hopefully, except they have an international backup that is funding or that is strengthening, that is providing logistics for the protest. Otherwise, it's just a matter of days. The protest will die off.
In that case, do we say that neighboring countries have not done enough or are not doing enough? Just the way Nigeria helped which country now to take away their president? You said the military, right? Nigeria
I
military
think
stopped a president from coming.
I think in the case of Cameroon, the President Pobia have extended the tenure that the president can stay. So he has legitimate right to contest. That one first. If he does not, like in the case of Gbagbo, there has been a constitution that limited the tenure of the president to 2 terms. Gbagbo was trying to change it to 3rd time. That is when there was a crisis. And now he said he went to the election and lose and refused to hand over. Consider that is
the situation there.
Yes, in the case of Cameroon now, the president his government has extended the tenure of the president. So the president can contest as many as he wants. So by legitimately, President Pobia has right to contest that election. And the Constitutional Council have declared him the winner. That is legitimate. Except the people now.
Go ahead.
The people now say, the people now say, despite that you have won the election, we don't want you. That is another topic. That is another song.
Oh, I see. Well, is that not what the people are saying? Why do we have the protest going on? I think that is what they're trying to express. Don't you think?
The point is, it is not all Cameroonian cities where protesters are protesting. According to reports, it's only two cities, which is Daoula and Garoua. These are the 2 cities where the peoples are protesting the results of the election. And Cameroon is also a large country. So if you have only 2 cities out of the whole city in Cameroon, that shows that is just few people protesting. Hopefully, maybe the stronghold of the opposition party. You get it now?
Yeah.
If it is a national protest now that everywhere, then I think the African leaders and the neighboring country has to now come in. But now, from the observation or from the report, it's just 2 cities that are protesting the results of this election.
Okay, the conversation is still on, and we'll just take a quick break right now. When we return, we go back to the topic of discussion, which is the Cameroon elections aftermath. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. Thank you very much for still being here with us. We're still on the conversation. Cameroon elections aftermath, talking about the lessons to learn, the question of age, the question of power, and the legitimacy. We're talking about the question of legitimacy inclusive, from the recently concluded Cameroon elections that brought forth President re-elected Paul. And we're still in the studio with our guests. You're welcome. You're still here. Thank you so much for still being with us, Sarah. So now we'll go to lessons and regional implications of whatever it is that happened in Cameroon. Now, what questions or what lessons, if I may ask, can Nigeria and other countries, other African countries, draw from Cameroon's current political climate? Because there has been a time that it was proposed that the presidential, tenure be extended. I think it was during the Obasanjo tenure. It was, proposed that it be extended, but somehow it was shut down by the House of Reps. So what do you think Africa, Nigeria, can learn from the current situation in Cameroon's political climate?
I think that we need to correct one question. I think the problem of long sitting presidents almost happening in francophone countries. When you look at the Anglophone, many of them has a copy type of democracy with the British. So, which only 2 times sitting presidents until except whenever the president of us just said stay. And you can see that the international body telling the British said no, he must go. And the Senate has to sum up the column that he has to do. But I think we should just advise some of the Anglophone countries, like Cote d'Ivoire and the likes, that, sometimes ideas are limited. But the fact remains that sometimes come with your own idea. There's nothing bad to have a master plan. You can design a master plan of 50 years. It can be run by anybody. So instead of you sitting down for over 50 years, why not design a plan that will last for 50 years? When you come to the European nations, they will give you a master plan of 50 years, what they are expected to do. They will give you a master plan of 100 years. Like we have in Lagos State, the president has a master plan to what the people of Lagos State will look like. And he put a template to it. So every governor that comes in place always follows the master plan. That is why we have Lagos as a template for Africa to show. So I think that African country need to learn this. Even for President Popia, there's no need for you to sit in the presidency for over 40 years. You can design a good master plan and transfer leader and say this is the plan that we need to follow. Look like Singapore, for instance. When the former leader, McHugh, was there, he designed a template for them to be able to follow the government. Today, Singapore is one of the fastest economic growing in the whole world. If the man decides not to go, will you be able to drive that vision? Yes, we know.
Okay, so we're saying that most times the problem is the fear of continuity. So one president might think, the moment I step down, it's difficult for another person to come and carry out my own vision. It's a thing of my vision has to continue. And I think that is the reasons why we have these francophone countries, coming over and over again, not wanting to step down for, say, the younger ones to come and rule. Is that a possible tendency?
No, I think that there is an international game to this, because why is it always from the francophone country if there is no evidence in respect to it? Are you getting my point? They don't know that there is an international politics to this, because the fact remains that even the Chad president, the late Chad president, also spent above more than 20-something years before he was killed during the issue with Boko Haram. So I think the francophone country in Africa need to come up and design how they want their people to be led. Because the fact that you remain in government, look at, for instance, even in Togo. So, what's her name? Nasembe also spent years in the leadership, in the presidency. Does that bring development to Togo? The answer was no. So I think it is now high time for the francophone country in Africa to come up and copy what the anglophone are doing. That's Ghana. Look at Nigeria. The worst you can spend is 8 years. After 8 years, you go. It will come. So that is only where we can be able to say, okay, we are targeting from democracy. But in the process of someone sustain himself for 40 years, that shows that is not democracy. That is a rule. It's just don't want to call it military rule. It's just a civilian rule. That shows that you have not been fair to the people ruling them. And that has to stop.
Okay, so how can African citizens demand a peaceful transition? Because it's one thing to say this is what it should be, and it's another thing to peacefully transition. Are we saying that sometimes we have to trigger instability, to demand for what we want. Is this the only way? Is there some other way, to be able to request peaceful transitions from existing governments?
I think we have to take it from where it began from, and that is to the point of the colonizer.
Okay.
They colonize which part of the country of the Africans. Then that is the starting point. By the time you start from there, that long sitting has not favored us. It's getting like look at President Putin in Russia. We have been there for over a decade, but the development there is development in Russia.
Yeah.
Look at what's it called? President of Prime Minister of India.
Yeah.
Modi. Over close to 20 years. There is development in India. Go to China, Japan.
Okay.
In China.
Yeah.
But as the answer is no. So that is the reason why we must, that since it does not work for us, we must go with what works for us. And that is the way to go.
If I were to put it in your case to judge, should there be an age or term limit enforced across Africa to prevent what is the ideal age, what is the ideal term or number of years that you would prefer, if I were to put it, to you to judge for presidencies in African countries?
I think I will be we prefer, because the point is you can see a 25 years old man or a 40-year-old man more healthier than 25-year-old.
Is it about being healthy? How about the intellectual ability?
No, it's about being healthy too. Because the point is, if you say, okay, you want a younger person, look at, for instance, we have a former president, President Yar'Adua in Nigeria. He was younger compared to President Tinubu or Buhari. But he spent just 3 years plus on the seat of the presidency and he passed out.
Well,
that's the reason why the age might not be the basis. But the point is, once someone is crossing 80, I think it is high time for us to think about leadership and look about something else. Maybe advisory role might be the best. Actually, age experience comes with age.
Okay.
But
Yes.
When strength is lost in the process, like you are crossing above 80, I think it's advisable for them to forget about leadership. They should rather be interested in advisory role.
So you're saying a 70-year-old is qualified for presidency and 75 years old, or even 79? Because those are... yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Like 79, if you have 79, if you have 4 or 5 years to 79, we're talking about 80. That has crossed the line.
Okay.
That has crossed the line. So when you say 79 plus 4, that should be 74, 84 rather. So that has also crossed. Anybody that might want to contest, I think are we together?
I'm with you.
To contest, if it is above 70, you should forget about contesting, because by the time you want to spend 2 times, your age will definitely cross to 80.
Okay.
And by then your knowledge is also decreasing. So that is my advice. I will advise.
And then how many years?
What did you say?
How many years would you suggest, or would you say that should be a good time frame for one to accomplish or finish whatever work that person is doing?
I think anything below from younger age to 70 is a good to go. Once they are crossing 80, it's not good to go.
The tenure. So I'm talking about the tenure, the time frame of ruling or leadership.
I think the point is 2 times is okay. But the point is, because to be honest with you, when you look at development trajectory, the development trajectory takes a lot of years.
Exactly.
When you compare to the likes of India, it took Modi over 20 years to develop India to world power today. And it's doing very well. When you compare it with Russia, same things happen. Putin has been there and is developing Russia, is maximizing the time he spent in power and developing Russia. Look at Japan, the president, the head of China, is also using longer time he spent in the leadership to develop China. So it is neither here nor there. But in the context of Africa, long-sitting president has never worked for us. And it is advised to stop following that path. Spend your 4 years, develop a template for a 20 years master plan, 50-year master plan, and leave the position and let another person try. That is the best for us for now.
How can regional bodies like, say, the African Union play a stronger role in protecting democracy in other continents?
So I think when you look at the African head of state, every country has sovereignty of their territory. So they can only advance.
Okay.
Except where there are social biases, that the whole country is going on fire, then they will have to come in. Like Nigeria come in when the issue of Cote d'Ivoire came up, and the issue of Gambia also came up. But the country will have been on fire. So the big brother Africa, Nigerian, has to come in and be able to provide security and ask the president to leave.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, that's what I said, that it is until it gets to the point that where the president has lost the legitimate of being able to protect the territory, then the other big brother African, like a big country like Nigeria, South Africa, we have to come in and save the situation, in order not for it to be able to degenerate and affect the other part of the region.
Okay, so for someone like Paul Biya now, why do you think? What do you think? In every same way, will make him want to cling to power. And then, can you just tell us one positive thing that you think makes him want to still stay in power? Is there anything at all that makes him want to still be there?
And he's enjoying the luxury of the office. And to let go, it might be hard. But the reality is, he holds the destiny of 30 million Cameroon in his hand. He holds the destiny of the 30 million American yet on also in his hand. So whatever decision he's taking now is going to affect them in the future. That is why it is advisable we are admonishing him now to look at the other side. Because you cannot continue to enjoy, because of the luxury of the office, you want to sit down there and die there. That's not the best way to lead. And that is not the best way to be fair and be objective to other men. Because all the good books said we must love our neighbor. So I believe that if you love the Cameroonian to the extent that you have been in office for 40 years, does that mean you are the only super champion in the whole of the 30 million people? Yes, no.
In your opinion, I'd like to know what defines victory in politics. What would you say a politician should see as victory and then want to step down?
I think the victory, you mean in respect to the election, right?
Not just in the election, in leadership, politics, everything, even with respect to the elections. Okay, let's start with the elections. Let's focus on the elections here.
So I think in the aspect of the election, I think once a leader, everybody wants to be popular, and everybody wants to serve under them. But the truth of the matter, there is no permanent king, and there is no everlasting king. Except God alone have that office. So whatever position we might find ourselves is just temporal. And the antecedents we leave behind that office will continue to alter. Look at Idi Amin. Everybody bears Idi Amin today, we hide their name from being called. Because the antecedents was not good enough.
Yeah.
Many names.
Maybe so. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Some will say, don't you think African leaders, or these African leaders that we're describing right now, and in the context of this conversation, are mistaking continuity with development? When you were starting your conversation, at some point you said it's possible to, write down your plan and hand it over. How feasible is that in the reality of things? Because we are humans at the end of the day, and working, mentorship is something that has to do with intentionality and, of course, willingness from both parties. Both hearts needs to be willing to be mentored. So what are the strategies? Because when we talk about these things, sometimes we can talk about it until it is our turn, until we are in that position to do that thing, and then we find ourselves, we are found wanting. So what is that practical thing that would define continuity? Development, that distinguishes continuity and development in the case of Cameroon right now, and Paul Biya?
You mean in the aspect of handing over power?
Yes, handing over. What is that step? What is that right step he needs to take to hand over? Because it's not a one-time something, if you ask me. I think it has to do with intentional mentorship over time. So what is that? What are those steps he can take to really hand over? And
I think you should just look for one of his loyalty and present him for an election. If possibly people still like such a person, they can vote for him.
now, is it about having a loyalist? Is it about, because when we talk in the context of politics in Africa, we want to hint it on loyalists. Is it about having loyalists or the right man for the job, the man that is capable for the job, the person that has the heart of the people? If we hand over positions to loyalists alone, what happens to service? What happens to people's need being met?
No. The reason why I said loyalist was in his party, he will present one of his loyalists. Am I right?
Okay.
Not that for the country to decide. Either they are going to go in that direction or look for credible alternative.
Oh, okay. So beyond what is that? What is that? How do I put it? What is that persona he should look at? What are those qualities rather that he should look at before picking a loyalist? Because we need to define leadership well in Africa. Leadership is not about holding positions or offices. Leadership is about serving the people. That is what it is about. So what are those qualities that one must look out for to appoint, pick a loyalist, whether he calls himself a loyalist or not? But we should talk about qualities.
I think when you look at the instances of Cameroon, for instance, the president has been there for 4 decades.
Yeah.
Let's be objective.
Yeah.
The president will hand over, if he's going to hand over tomorrow, he's going to hand over to one of his close allies.
Mm-hmm.
That's to the extent that once it's out of government, he's still in government.
Okay.
But it's not to follow such whoever that the president is presenting, or they look for other alternatives, like I said. But the point is, the reality is that because when you look at other Anglophone countries, look at Chad, for instance. When the president died, his son was asked. In the case of Togo, when Tony Nassim Diame, what's his name again, was late, the son took over. So that has been the antecedent of Anglophone in Africa. Once the leader passed, the son was automatically took over the leadership. And that is not the best. It's a monarchical democracy. It is a democracy. As democracy, is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is the people that are supposed to choose who to lead them at that particular point.
Is there anything we can point back in Cameroon to say that Paul Biya has, his government has been good? Do you think he has indeed developed Cameroon for the past 20 years?
When you look at the whole thing, the GDP of Cameroon is about $51.3 billion, and with the population of 30 million. Well, I think when you look at it at per capita income on the IMF standard, that's around $1.7. So it's still a poor country, but I think they can still do better than we're looking at the opportunity Cameroon is having. I think they are better off in the agro products, and I think they are doing badly. Let me say they are not doing badly, but they are not doing very well.
They are not doing badly, but they are not doing very well. Okay, so we are getting to that point where we wrap up the show. But before we go, I want you to give us your last words, concerning the whole situation.
No, I think I will advise the longer service leader to consider that the world is moving and Africa must not lag behind. We must do a catch up. It's better for us to begin to think or begin to act in the interest of your unborn children in Africa. We have stop in the Committee of Nations, where leaders will go, our leaders will cross from the Africa and turn themselves to beggar in the Western world. That cannot continue forever. This is why we need a transformation leader, a leader who will see tomorrow, who will plan against tomorrow, want a leader that will share not to the people, and at the end of the day, after this tenure, the status quo remain the same, and the poverty must have multiplied. That is not kind of leader in Africa is looking at. We are looking at leaders that will plan for 20, 30 years, that then we can say, okay, we are proud to be an African.
Okay, thank you so much for your words, your insights on the conversation today. At this point, we call it a wrap. It has been an insightful one with you, sir, and we look forward to having you again and again on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, what is happening in Cameroon now is more than elections. It is, I would call, a mirror. It's mirroring, reflecting the tension between power and progress, age and renewal, legitimacy and longevity. Africa must actually decide if stability means keeping the old or empowering the new, because true democracy is not just about who wins. It is about whether the people still have a choice. Thank you so much for being here with us. I still remain your host, Priscilla Obasi. Of course, Global Television still has programs outlined for you for the day. Until I come your way again,